Hello and welcome to Gadget Guide USA. Thanks for watching my KINFUTON A19 15.5 watt household LED bulb product review. As you can see here, it's already shipped to me. I already have opened it. I've done some drop tests and some kick tests, but we'll get more into that in a second. But this is my normal unboxing. We're going to go ahead and start with the outside. It says A19 100 watt replacement. It uses 15.5 watts, 85% energy saving LED. It has a skew here, we like that. It says installing or changing the lamp stand, please severing the electrical. So these directions are totally confusing. I don't know what they mean, but I'm just going to go ahead and order them. The lamp installation should be avoided in the heat source and hot steam and corrosive gas lest affect lifespan. You can tell that this was just a simple Google Translate. And they didn't put a lot of work into the English language switchover, but that's okay. So it says 1600 lumens, 15.5 watts, daylight white, 5000 K, all that good stuff. And the most important part that I feel is that you're going to see is that it's dimmable, which is very important. A lot of LED lights aren't dimmable. However, these are. I've tested it in my house, and you know, the dimming function worked fine and everything. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I was sent these actual two bulbs. Right here, I want you to notice that this is kind of indented in. It was not shipped to me like that. I did some drop testing and I kicked it once too, just to see how they would hold up compared to regular light bulbs. I didn't drop this one at all. I just dropped this one. I dropped this one a total of 6 times, the highest of about 8 feet, which is about how tall I am, 6 feet, with the bulb raised as high as I could over my head. And I dropped it multiple times. Most of the times it landed like this and didn't cause any damage, but when I actually dropped it from the highest part, it landed perfectly like this, which actually indented this. The good news is it still works, which is kind of amazing, considering if this is a traditional light bulb or even one of the efficiency light bulbs that I use in my studio here. I use things like this to actually provide the camera lighting. Of course, if I drop this, it would most likely, I mean, that's glass, it'd shatter. So the actual exterior housing is made from plastic. All this is actually plastic, which I dropped it on there a total of 5 times and once on here. I didn't choose where it dropped, I just dropped it. And you'll notice that the top is actually in perfect shape, nothing's disabled. So these are actually very, very sturdy. So we're going to open it up. This is just like a plastic top that pops on and off. You can, remove that. I don't know why you would want to, but the light is very bright without this, and very pointed. It points in a specific direction as opposed to this cap light kind of bringing it all out and, spreading the light instead of it being so focused. But essentially what you see in there, all these little marks are the voltage markings or the LED markings, whatever you want to call them. But these are all the actual LEDs that light up when you're actually using it. Of course, I'm just going to grab this funky studio light thing here to give you an example of what it looks like. But as you can see, it's probably whiting out the camera right there. It is extremely bright. Well, it looks like my camera's doing a good job of getting rid of the light. While it says 100 watt replacement on it, I found using I admit I'm not using a top of the line lumen sensor, but using the lumen sensor available in the Google Android App Store, I essentially just basically plugged each standard 60 watt or standard 75 watt light bulb, one of my soft white lights, and these LED lights to compare. It had a very similar output to the 75 watt traditional light bulb, which I would actually show you here, but I broke it. I'm a clumsy guy, so. But essentially, it says 100 watt replacement. I would really call it a 75 watt replacement. Not really that big of a deal. It is extremely bright and it's getting the job done. But I figured I'd at least mention in the lumens test on the free apps, it showed as a 75 watt replacement. So not a big deal, but I figured I'd mention it. So overall, extremely rugged. It works well, as you can see. I actually plugged it in and tested it. This one has been working outside. The KINFUTON listing specifically says do not use it in damp or wet areas, so I left it outside running for 6 days, even after I did the drop test, and it works fine outside, even though the listing does not recommend to use it outside. Some of the advantages to LED lights in general. Essentially why I reviewed these, this is not an item I would normally review, but at the same time I'm preparing to switch my whole house, well, as much as possible, over to LED lighting. And that's, to save the environment, of course, to save on my monthly electricity bill. It does make quite a bit difference, even replacing, the 6 bulbs or 10 bulbs, to even replace the 10 incandescent bulbs with LED lighting actually makes a really large difference in your electric bill. I haven't actually gotten it yet, so I don't know, but at the same time, I'm using 75 watt bulbs, incandescents, and in place I'm using 15.5 watt bulbs, so that's saving quite a bit of electric costs, and we like that. In addition, the lighting is a lot more pleasant. It looks a lot more like traditional white light than it does, say, a standard incandescent bulb, and we like that. The advantages of LED bulbs in general are going to be, of course, savings in the long term in electricity. Like I said, instead of a 75 watt bulb, you're using a 15.5 watt actual bulb. And LEDs last a lot longer. They're listed, some LEDs last 100,000 hours. These are supposed to last 30,000 hours. But that still is a lot longer than your traditional incandescent bulbs. The only downside to LED bulbs really would be A, is that lots of them can't work in damp environments, even though these seem to be working fine. And B would be the upfront cost. Of course, they're just more expensive to buy up front, the upfront cost. I believe these were 2 for $25. Incandescent bulbs are a lot cheaper up front, but in the long run you're actually going to save money and headache because you won't have to change the bulbs all the time, and you won't have to continually buy new bulbs every 6 months. In addition, the bulbs I use outside tend to burn out a lot. I live in Indiana, it gets very cold in the winter, and even if I buy expensive outdoor bulbs, which are $6 or $7 a piece, I have to use 2 every winter. I'm hoping to use LED bulbs next winter and see how they pan out and save me money. Mainly because LEDs work a lot better in large temperature ranges. They are not going to actually explode when it's really cold. Lots of bulbs, when it's really cold and you flick them on, they'll burn out. That's not so true with LEDs. They do have the disadvantages of once you get to about 120 or 140 degrees operating, LED bulbs will actually burn out if you get them too hot. That's not going to be an issue where I live. I have cold summers, but if you live somewhere that has a really extremely hot summer, like say Texas, and it's 105 degrees outside, and you have a light bulb on, it can easily get to 140, 150 degrees, and that starts to become the point where LED fails. But these aren't made for outside, they're made for indoor, so you shouldn't have those issues. I'm just kind of going over everything about LEDs. Overall, the KINFUTON A19 100 watt replacement bulb is a solid choice. They're extremely rugged. I mean, I literally dropped this one 6 times and kicked it once. It's still going. It did receive a little dent there, but it's not affecting its operation. Overall, very happy. I believe I'm going to wire up my whole house with these. I've already purchased 10. 2 were provided for a review, but I have a few more, and I believe that I'm going to have my house fully equipped with LEDs, minus the fluorescents. I hope you enjoyed my product review today on the KINFUTON A19 100 watt replacement bulbs that are also dimmable. Comments are always welcome at the bottom of the page. Subscriptions are always appreciated. Thank you. And if you have any specific questions, comments, or suggestions, please email me at GadgetGuideUSA@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.